I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Monday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us as we embark on another week. A week where, if you're a football fan in North Florida, I don't really know what to tell you right now. A combined 1-7 for Florida, Florida State, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Florida State 0-3, Florida 1-2, and the Jaguars are 0-2. We must have wronged somebody this offseason. I don't know. But if you're a fan of the garnet and gold, the orange and blue, or the teal and black, it has been a long first couple of weeks in September. There is absolutely no question about that. We'll spend a ton of time on the Jaguars tonight. Try to pick up the pieces. It's reality. It's where they are. They're 0-2, and they're staring 2 road games in the face at Buffalo a week from tonight, and then at Houston, where they will be big underdogs, and they're staring potentially 0-4 in the face. And at that point, I don't know where you would go. So we'll talk Jacksonville. We'll talk a little Florida, Florida State as well. 0-3 for the Noles. 0-3. The honeymoon period with Mike Norvell's over. That lasted, one off season? Billy Napier is not going to last more than a couple of more weeks, I wouldn't think. That is a bizarre situation in Gainesville, too. I mean, he's going to be fired, right? That's what everybody's saying. If we all know it, obviously the players know it. It's all anybody's talking about. And yet, Florida has a football game to play on Saturday in Starkville against Mississippi State.
And they're the favorite.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Florida's a favorite, and Florida State is a favorite.
No.
They're a 2-point favorite, the last thing I saw.
Wow.
Yeah, 3-0 Cal, who already has a win over Auburn this year, going to 0-3 Florida State. And the Seminoles, by my last count, were a 2-point favorite on Saturday night. Unreal. So we'll talk Florida, we'll talk Florida State, but obviously we will begin with whatever that was yesterday at Everbank Stadium, because it wasn't pretty, and it didn't look like much that resembled a functional NFL offense. Guest lineup looks like this. Dave Campo, a little Monday night coaching with Campo. He comes up in about 20 minutes, actually about less than 15 minutes. We'll talk Jaguars, Browns. We'll look ahead to Buffalo next week. We will do a little college at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. I did mention this to Rick there during the 2-minute drill. Jesse Simonton is a national college football columnist for On3.com. He wrote a really interesting piece earlier today about where Florida football has gone, kind of the fall from grace since the departure of Jeremy Foley back in 2016. It caught my eye. I reached out to Jesse. I got him on, and we'll have that conversation for you coming up at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. So we're looking to pick up the pieces for the Jaguars, the Gators, and the Seminoles on this Monday night here in Northeast Florida. Every night on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Sometimes in the profession, the crazy profession of sports talk radio, we use radio shtick, right? Radio lingo to try to get a rise out of people. It's maybe our definition of clickbait. I don't do it a lot, but sometimes, occasionally, you poke the bear a little bit. Try to stir the pot, if you will, a little bit. But what I'm about to say is none of that. This is as real can get. I'm 40 years old. The Jacksonville Jaguars played their first football game on September 3rd, 1995. I was 11 years old that day at what was then Jacksonville Municipal Stadium. And I've watched every Jaguar game since. Some I remember more than others. There was that whole spot in my, mid to late 20s where cold beer was much more appealing than maybe watching the game. But by and large, I do remember every game that the Jaguars have played. I've been in sports radio for 22 years. Been doing Jaguar postgame on the fifth quarter for a decade. I'd like to think that I remember and know a little bit about the Jaguars. And yesterday, and again, this is not just me trying to poke the bear. This is genuine. Yesterday, watching that game, the Jaguars-Browns game, for the first 2.5 quarters, genuinely, that might be the worst offensive performance I've ever seen for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that goes back to the 1-15 year in 2020, the ridiculous 2-14 campaign with Mike Mularkey in 2012, the awful years of Gus Bradley, the bad final years of Jack Del Rio. Watching the offense yesterday, now they picked it up towards the end of the third when they finally decided to throw the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. But before that 66-yard pass completion, it was ineptitude, man. It was laughable. It was the Keystone Cops. It was the Bad News Bears. It was a clown show. They're spending a lot of money for that offense to look like that. There's a lot of first-round picks on that side of the ball. There's a lot of free agents on that side of the ball. There's a lot of contract extensions on that side of the ball. And that was horrendous in the first 2.5 quarters. Question is, why? Why are we here? Why are they 0-2? Defense has been good. Maybe a little bit of bend but don't break yesterday, but look, when you allow 20 points to the Miami Dolphins on opening day, your defense plays well enough to win. When you only allow 16 points to the Cleveland Browns, keep in mind, Cleveland scored a touchdown on their first offensive possession. They did not find the end zone the rest of the game. Jaguar defense has been fine. They are not the problem. The offense is the problem. The offense is a big problem. This offseason, I proclaimed myself to be the president of the Trent Baalke fan club. I thought he was masterclass. And I still think he did a very good job. The one negative was that Calvin Ridley left to go to Tennessee, but if you really think about it, the only reason Brian Thomas Jr. is here is because the Jaguars lost Calvin Ridley. But the one caveat that I did have, Denmark can vouch for me on this, and I know the one caveat that a lot of you had, the trepidation a lot of you had, was the offensive line. And shame on me, I gave Baalke the benefit of the doubt because I thought he did such a good job this offseason. They re-signed Ezra Cleveland. They brought in Mitch Morse. Anton Harrison going into year 2. Brandon Sheriff's healthy. Cam Robinson's not suspended. I can't remember how many times I said that exact line, but it was a few this offseason. I apologize. I was wrong. The offensive line has not been good. But it's more so than the line. It's everything. On what planet does Christian Kirk have one catch for -1 yards in a game when healthy? I mean, where are we? I thought this was Jacksonville, not the Twilight Zone. One catch for -1 yards for Christian Kirk? Remember, he was the guy, that's the reason the offense struggled last year. That's what I said. That's what you said this offseason. When Kirk left, the offense went into a shell. Were we right about that? Not based on yesterday. One catch and he lost 3 feet. That's what he did. Brian Thomas Jr. was out there for 44 snaps. 44. They threw the ball to him 4 times. Kirk and Brian Thomas were targeted 7 times combined. Gabe Davis and Britton Strange were targeted 13 times. What are we doing? What are we doing? Trevor Lawrence was ticked after the game. Now, he blamed himself, but he also said guys got to start looking in the mirror. He flat out said, we suck right now. Trevor, you're spot on. Yes, you guys do on offense. I agree with what you said. I agree with that sentiment. In fact, that to me is maybe one of your best quotes in a long time. We suck right now. You are spot on accurate. And you got to wonder, we always talk about character, right? The character in the locker room. At what point does that defense say, wait a darn minute here? What are we doing? We're holding up our end of the bargain. Where is the offense? Where is the help? It's been non-existent the last 2 games. Defense has played well enough for you to win. The offense has let you down. Keep in mind, you have an offensive head coach who we think is calling the plays. We're still not sure. They better figure it out and figure it out quick. Remember what the owner said? The expectation is to win. And then he doubled down, saying, I was not misquoted. The expectation is to win. This is the best roster it's ever been assembled here in Jacksonville. That's what the owner's telling the players. That's what the owner's telling the coach. And that's what the owner's telling the GM. How have they backed up the owner's words in the first 2 games? By averaging 15 points a contest and be one of the worst offenses in the NFL? And now you go to Buffalo a week from tonight. You go to Houston after that. This season could get away from you real quick, man. Real quick. But if you're the offense, you need to take a hard look in the mirror. Offensive coaches, offensive players. Get it together and get it together now. Because what you're doing, the game plan you're putting in, the execution on the field, all of it. You can blame all of it. It has been a failure for the last 6 quarters. I'll give you the first half in Miami. That was good. After that, the last 6 quarters have been awful. Awful. And they better figure it out real quick. 641-1010 on the text line is on by Lifetime Enclosures. Your thoughts welcome. What does a former head coach in the NFL think? A former defensive coach at that. I'm going to ask Dave Campo. When the defense is doing their thing and the offense is letting you down, at what point do the defensive guys say, come on, you guys better pick it up? Could that cause issues? If I'm a defensive player, I'm pissed at how well we're playing, and we're 0-2 because the offense can't get out of their own way, and they can't block anybody to boot. Should fire you up as a Jaguar fan. Fires me up, and of course, I'm an objective broadcast journalist. Let's talk to an objective former NFL head coach, my buddy Dave Campo. Every Monday during the regular season here on Hacker After Dark, it's Monday night coaching with Campo. Let's review whatever that was against Cleveland, and I guess let's look ahead to Buffalo. That could be ugly 1 week from tonight. The offense has 7 days to figure out what they're doing. Because the Bills have heard now for 3 years how the Jaguars have their number. The Bills finally get Jacksonville in Orchard Park on a Monday night. I bet they're licking their chops to get a hold of the Jaguars 1 week from tonight. Staring 0-3 in the face, man. Then you go to Houston. You going to beat the Texans? You could have beat Miami. You could have beat Cleveland if you had any resemblance of offense. Any. In the last 6 quarters. And you're 0-2 because of that offense. And like Trevor Lawrence said, We suck right now. Yeah, you do. At least the offense does. Spot on analysis. Dave Campo, Monday Night Coaching with Campo, next on Hacker After Dark.
He'll cross the line into the danger zone so you can be informed from the safety of home.
Out here, it's military law, and I'm in charge of enforcing it.
Hayes Carline takes you behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. You know, the good thing about the Jaguars losing games, and there's really not a good thing, but for me, at least now when I look in the mirror, I don't see what I was a year ago, last football season. When I looked in the mirror last football season, when the losses started accumulating, I saw a 317-pound shell of what I used to be. It was depressing, man. Now, thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss, I'm down 222 pounds. I'm down 95 pounds total. 95 pounds. The push to 100, I'm going to lose 100 pounds in the next couple of weeks. 100 pounds, thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. It's life-changing. It's life-saving. If you need to lose weight like I did, take it from somebody who's about to lose 100 pounds on this program. And go to awaken180weightloss.com.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjax.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Don't bet the National Football League this season without your VSiN NFL betting guide. Betting previews for all 32 teams, betting trends, VSiN's exclusive in-depth win total projections, and a guide on how to use betting splits to bet and win. Download your free copy of the guide right now, featuring a betting preview of your Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL.com. That's 1010XL.com.
Give us your hot take.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
On the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Be part of the conversation. 641-1010.
A customer called DuckDuckRooter saying they had some nasty stuff backing up inside their home. So we went with our camera to look inside their plumbing lines. And sure enough, tree roots in the sewer line. Need to see what's blocking your lines? Call our team to locate the issue and provide solutions to resolve it. 904-862-6769. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jags. DuckDuckRooter, your fully insured and certified plumbing contractor, residential and commercial.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
How many MLB records does Pete Rose still hold?
How long has it been since you compared homeowners' insurance rates? Log on to southernoak.com to get an instant quote or find an agent near you.
I found
family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Pete Rose holds the Major League Baseball records for most hits, most at-bats, most games played, and is tied for most seasons with 200 or more hits.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Homeowners, good news for you. Accent on 4. Listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Prosser here. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted. So low, we haven't seen them in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.99% APR. So whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in process with another lender, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days, with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Call 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166.1781. Owner approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
If you're searching for a new fence installation, challenge yourself to find a fence company with more positive online reviews than Superior Fence and Rail. With over 3,000 reviews and a 4.9 out of 5 review range, Superior Fence and Rail is, well, superior. So take the online challenge or let their professional team show you what superior service looks like. Superior Fence and Rail, where quality matters.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician, Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Establishing a regular sleeping pattern is crucial for your well-being. This includes going to bed at roughly the same time every night and waking up around the same time every morning. You may even consider turning off all electronic devices an hour before bedtime. Ever wonder why you can't fall asleep after staring at your phone right before bed? Studies show that the light from your phone actually decreases melatonin production, therefore causing disruptions to your sleep throughout the night. Get some rest before the big game. Go Jags.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars 0-2 on the year after a loss to the Cleveland Browns 18-13. It's not going to get any easier with road trips coming up to Buffalo and to Houston. How did we get to this point? And maybe more importantly, how do we get out of this point? Let's talk about it with our head coach, Dave Campo. A little Monday night coaching with Campo. You hear the head coach all over the 1010XL airwaves, and he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, how are you, my friend?
Not that good. You know, you watch the game a second time, and all it does is make your gut ache, you know. So I'm as good as I can be. At least I got a chance to watch it again and saw some of the issues.
You know, Coach, when we do the fifth quarter, you, myself, Leon Searcy, I love it because it's so genuine, it's so raw, but it's so quickly, right? We don't really get a chance to decompress because it's so right after the game. Now we've had over 24 hours to kind of sit back and realize what transpired. So let me just ask you what everybody's asking me. What is wrong with the Jaguar offense?
Well, first of all, you know, again, it was a little bit of a tale of two halves. Again, you know, they in the first half, they really couldn't do anything. They got pressure on the quarterback. They had timeouts because of guys not getting up on the line quick enough, or the play not getting in, and all those kind of things. And then in the second half, they caught some momentum. And it was just some plays during that period of time that really hurt them. They haven't put a game together. That's for darn sure. And I think, you know, some of it, Doug afterwards said that you know, maybe they were too simple. Well, maybe they're too simple. But when you've got a chance to go ahead with a touchdown pass, they were in the red zone 4 times, only got it done once. You know, when they had a chance to get it done, they get an illegal shift because Dearness Johnson wasn't in the right place to begin with, and then tried to rectify himself and getting over there. If he'd have just stayed where he was, they still had the same play going, but he came back to the other side and he goes in motion without getting set. So the second half, there was some really good plays, and it's just a shame that they can't put the two together.
The head coach, Dave Campo, here with us on Hacker After Dark. Coach, you've been in press conference settings. You've held court out in Dallas after tough losses, and Doug Peterson did that yesterday. And you know, it was interesting talking to you during the fifth quarter. Not to put words in your mouth, I want you to expand on this, but you obviously know what a head coach is going through and answering tough questions from the media. And you alluded yesterday when you were in that press conference with Doug Peterson, and I saw it, you know, when you watch it as well, not a lot of answers, right? I mean, I don't want to call it a deer in headlights look, but it almost kind of was. It was unlike a lot of press conferences that Doug Peterson has had during his time here.
Yeah, it just was one of those deals where you're looking at it and you're almost seeing just complete frustration with the things that went on during the game, which I can understand because, I mean, we had a lot of opportunities in that game to get it done. But it was kind of like he was towards the end of the year last year. And that disappoints me a little bit because even when we were poor in Dallas, you know, when I was the head coach, you know, I never felt that you ever wanted to have your team number one, but anybody feel like, you know, you're sweating. And that was one of those where he was sweating and really couldn't come up with an answer. And I always had an answer, at least. You know, I said something, whether it was just trying to appease the media or whatever, but it was at least forceful, and that disappoints me a little bit.
You know, almost the exact opposite of that, I thought, was Trevor Lawrence and his comments yesterday after the game. We don't really ever see Trevor animated. We don't see him angry, dare I say ticked off. I think you saw some of that yesterday. Now, he took accountability. He was not placing blame. He certainly took his fair share of the blame, but he actually used the term, "we suck" right now. He was talking about himself, the O-line, the receivers, the backs, the coaching. Everybody needs to improve. It's bad right now. I almost think it was good that we maybe saw a more animated Trevor Lawrence than we're used to seeing.
Well, I think it is. I mean, you know, somewhere along the line, he has to exert a little bit of authority. Now, he has to play well in order to do that, and there were certain points in the game that he did. But he missed a couple throws, and you know, you got to be careful with exactly how you approach the thing. But there's no question that first half we were completely dysfunctional. And you know, some of it is pressure. Some of it is, you know, guys not being in the right spot at the right time. We have, like I said, we haven't put a game together, and it's for a lot of reasons, including, you know, some of that when you have to take 2 timeouts and then at the end of the half, you don't have any timeouts to try to get back to score before the end of the half. Those are coaching responsibilities. And when you get roughing the passer penalties, although I'll tell you what, you know, that the one that 33 got was absolutely ridiculous because if you watch all the tackles in the league, a lot of them are, about 90% of them, the heads are ducked. And obviously, if the heads are ducked and they're on the outside of the frame of the body, they don't call anything. But all of a sudden, the guy takes one extra step and he hits the guy in the leg with the crown of his helmet, and they call roughing the passer. That's absolutely ridiculous. But the whole thing with Trevor was he actually got into a little bit of a contest, I think, with Doug on the sideline in the first half. And then after the game, he basically called everybody out, including himself.
The head coach, Dave Campo, here with us on Hacker After Dark, a little Monday night coaching with Campo. Coach, the offensive line, most of us knew it was an issue coming into the year. I was willing to give Trent Baalke the benefit of the doubt because I thought he did so well the rest of the offseason. It is clearly an issue 2 weeks in. How concerned are you about the play of the O-line?
Well, I'm very disappointed, obviously. I think like everybody is, they're very inconsistent. And when it's the real time, they have a tendency to give up something. During the drive, the last one where they had to kick the field goal, they had a double team, and this includes the tight end. They had the tackle, Harrison, and the tight end helping them, and the guy split the double team and sacked Trevor. Now, some of the problem is Trevor holds the ball a little bit too long at times. But guys, we got to have, he's got to have some time to throw the football. And I don't think he's getting the time he needs. And then every once in a while, they'll run a play. And they had one where they had a play action pass. It was maximum protection. They pulled Cam Robinson around to protect the edge. And he fans on the guy. The guy comes straight through and hits Trevor in the face. So, those kind of things can't happen. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if we're doing too much with protections or what the situation is. But there's times where we've just gotten knocked back. They knocked Harrison one time right back on his back, ran over the top of him. So, it's just not gelling right now. And obviously we're hoping that it's because it's the second ball game. And, I've been in situations where we lost the first two and really rallied. So hopefully that's going to happen. We've got a lot of work to do, though.
You may have just answered my question for me. Maybe it's because Trevor just simply doesn't have time. But why is Brian Thomas Jr. and Christian Kirk not being targeted? They combined for 7 targets between the two of them yesterday.
Well, I think maybe we're outthinking ourselves a little bit because the first takeoff they ran it to Gabe Davis, on a third down, incomplete. You got to take some shots to that kid, number 7. I don't know how you do it, but I know you got to maximum protect and let him run some posts and some takeoffs and take a shot at him. And we're not doing that. Now, in deference to what Trevor's saying at the end, one of the big plays in the game was one right in Thomas's hands on a slant, and he dropped it. So there's drops in there as well. And so it's not all just not being targeted. Some of it is you got to make plays, and those are things that we're not doing right now.
You're often referred to as the former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, which certainly you are, but you were a defensive head coach. You were a defensive side of the ball, and you spent decades on the defensive side of the ball as a coordinator and as an assistant secondary coach. So let me ask you, all right, the defense has played very well in the first 2 games. The offense has let them down. At some point, does that become an issue in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, it can be that way. Obviously, one of the things that I did as a coordinator, for sure, was every Monday when we came in for our meetings, and really basically not Monday, but basically Wednesday, we come in and watch the tape, and then they're off on Tuesday, and then we would come in on Wednesday. The very first meeting we had, I always told the guys, the very first thing I said, guys, let me just tell you one thing. We're responsible for our own self. We are not responsible for anybody else. And so, I don't want to hear anything about we should have done this, we should have done that, the offense should have done this. We're responsible to make sure if they don't score, they don't win. So when it comes down to it, I think you have to make a little bit of a point of that. That was just my point. I don't know if they're doing that or not, but at some point, you get to the point where you say, holy mackerel, no matter what we do, things are not happening. Somebody better start making some plays on the other side of the ball.
Final moments with the head coach, Dave Campo. Monday night coaching with Campo here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, we'll get to Buffalo in a moment. They have a week, right? They play a week from tonight. Is this stuff fixable? Yesterday in the first half, and I truly mean this. This is not hyperbole or radio shtick. I've watched every Jaguar game, obviously, they've ever had. And for the last 22 years, I've been in the media, and I've loved every bit of it. I honestly would have to think about a worse half of football for a Jaguar offense. And that includes the 1-15. That includes the malarkey 2-14 team. I mean, they were horrible on offense in the first half yesterday. Is this stuff correctable before they go into a huge game against Buffalo next Monday night?
Well, I think it's correctable. I mean, everything is correctable because a lot of times it just comes down to, one play in a drive that ends it. You know what I mean? And so, it's something that they have to, it's going to be up to the players. The coaches are going to have to, zero in and whether or not they can take criticism and fix what the problems are. To me, that's up to the players. The coaches have got to do their job of pointing things out and making sure that everybody understands how important every play is and all that. But the players have to play. And, to me, that's something that we've got to zero in on. I look at the adjustment after halftime for the offense, and I thought they made the adjustments that they needed to make in the second half. They just didn't finish, some drives. And, when you got a guy in the wrong position and he causes you a penalty that costs you the deal, that can be corrected. But it's got to be the players that do it. I just think it's way too early to panic. I think at this point right now, you got to look at it and say, okay, we put ourselves in a hole, especially with Houston winning yesterday. And listen, they didn't play that good a game yesterday either. So this is a parity league, and anybody can win on any night, and they could very well go up to Buffalo and win the football game.
I agree. It's way too early to panic. Having said that, you worked for Jerry Jones. I mean, need I say more about the pressure that was constantly on you? Shad Khan went very public, saying winning is the expectation. He doubled down on it in the team meeting, saying, I was not misquoted. I expect us to win. If these losses keep accumulating, how much pressure is going to build down there?
Well, there's going to be pressure. I think the one thing that you have to look at, in my mind, is that the patience now is not very good. And I'm talking about with the organization, with the players, with the fans. There is a tendency to panic. I think the thing that will alleviate it is if they can right the ship. Shad has done a really good job for this community. I want to say that. He's not afraid to spend money, and he's really worked to get the thing here, and he wants to keep it. And I think he's going to be, even though he said that, I think he's going to be a little bit more patient with the coach than he would be if he was in another market or whatever. But the pressure will get more and more if they continue to be dysfunctional. It's a little bit like Florida. Once the fans start dissing you too much, then it puts the pressure on you.
You get the head coach, Dave Campo, every week with us here on Hacker After Dark on Monday Night Coaching with Campo. Next week, it'll be a little Tuesday Night Coaching with Campo because the Jaguars are on the road for Monday Night Football. Coach, road game, Monday night. That'll be quite the challenge for the Jags.
Yeah, and again, first of all, players love to play on Monday night. And it's really a time that, that they will kind of gear up the enthusiasm, and especially with an 0-2, I think our guys they've got to rally. And playing on Monday night, anything can happen in my mind.
Dave Campo will be with us next Tuesday to recap Buffalo, and we will do a fifth quarter after the Bills and the Jaguars. I guess it'll actually be Tuesday morning, Coach, when you and I hit the airwaves next week for that. Thank you as always, pal. We'll talk soon.
You got it. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you down the road here.
Here we come. The best defense is a superior fence. Superior Fence and Rail highlights the defensive player of the game. On 1010XL, Superior Fence and Rail, where quality matters.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a dust bunny breeder from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Steve Johnson. Welcome to the show, Steve.
It's great to be here, Alex.
Yeah, you don't have to answer in the form of a question, Steve.
What is this game show?
See, that's another question.
Are you going to ask me about air conditioners?
Yeah, okay. How about we just send the Bueller guys over and you can annoy them with all your questions? Johnny?
That's right, Steve. Bueller Air and Plumbing can answer all your air conditioning questions. Repair options, replacement models, and how to make your AC last longer while saving electricity. Making sure you are cool.
Where is the parking lot?
You're killing me, Steve.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
It's poker with a purpose. The Hold'em for Life Texas Hold'em Tournament at Blessed Trinity Parish Hall benefits the Women's Help Center with a focus on expectant mothers and newborns. If you'd like to play or sponsor, call 904-868-8873.
Help make Jacksonville safer and play a round of golf at the First Coast Crime Stoppers Golf Tournament, October 21st at Amelia River Club.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
Having a mentor can positively change a young life right here in Jacksonville. It only takes 4 to 7 hours a month to be a big brother or big sister and change a life forever. Become a big today at bbbsnefl.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Salvatore's famous pizza now in Jacksonville, Tapestry Park off Southside Boulevard. In honor of our favorite player, number 16, Salvatore's large pizza with lots of mozzarella and one topping, only $16. Coupon at salvatores.com. Dine in, pick up, and delivery. $16 for a large Salvatore's pizza with lots of mozzarella and one topping. Coupon at salvatores.com. Tax and delivery extra.
Hey Googans, Dr. Chris Kopp, PT here with Premier Physical Therapy of Jacksonville. Is pain interfering with your life? Looking for a specialist for the rehab of your young athlete? Whether recovering from injury, surgery, or improving overall function, Premier PT Jax provides personalized treatment with compassionate care. My team of experts are ready to serve you at 3 locations, Ponte Vedra, San Pablo, and US 1 Phillips Highway. Visit PremierPTJax.com or call 904-996-6922. PremierPTJax.com, where your journey to wellness begins.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
Arrested? Got traffic tickets? DUI? License problems, gun charges, drug charges? If you've been charged with any crime, call me, criminal defense attorney Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Googan Nation, it's Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here to tell you this is no dream. The folks at Dreamfinders Homes right now have an unbeatable interest rate for you. You may not think you can afford a Dreamfinders home. Well, think again. Take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. I said it, 2.99%. 15 Jacksonville communities to choose from. Find that dream house and take advantage of an unbeatable rate. Move now, literally. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving, they can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Monday night, Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Monday Night Football going on right now. The final game of Week 2. Atlanta, Philadelphia. Fast-moving first quarter. About 90 seconds to go in quarter number 1. Still scoreless. Philadelphia had a really nice drive. Drove it all the way down to the Atlanta 4-yard line and went for it on 4th and goal from the 4. Did not take the field goal. They did not get it. And because of that, we're still scoreless. 90 seconds to go in quarter number 1. Saquon Barkley, 39 yards rushing in the first quarter. Bijan Robinson, 35 yards rushing in the first quarter. We'll keep you updated. Boy, the injuries are piling up around the National Football League. Of course, here in Jacksonville, Evan Ingram yesterday, a hamstring, right, during pregame warm-ups. Don't know the severity. I mean, we know Tyson Campbell just went on IR, the short-term IR with a hamstring. Hopefully that's not the case for Ingram. Philadelphia is dealing with the same thing with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown told reporters tonight that he expects to miss a couple of weeks with his hamstring up in Philadelphia. You then look at some of the action around the league yesterday. Boy, the San Francisco 49ers. Good grief. Christian McCaffrey is banged up. He's on IR. As a guy that's a Christian McCaffrey fantasy owner, I went into a just state of fantasy football depression with that yesterday. Now Deebo Samuel with a calf. Looks like he's going to miss some time for the 49ers. Look at the Rams. Puka Nacua already out. Cooper Kupp gets hurt yesterday. He could potentially now miss some time. Boy, the Rams got absolutely crushed by Arizona yesterday. Marvin Harrison Jr. over 130 yards receiving in the first half of yesterday's win for the Cardinals. Isaiah Pacheco of Kansas City out 6 to 8 weeks. Kareem Hunt is going to visit Kansas City. Chiefs won yesterday. Again, questionable call. Goes in the Chiefs' favor. Shocker there. As Harrison Butker kicks a game-winning field goal after a questionable interference call on the Bengals. Kansas City now 2-0. Cincinnati now falls to 0-2.
Was that questionable? That was pretty blatant.
Dude, at that point of the game, I've seen much more egregious penalties not called. To me, first off, I don't know if he could have caught it if he wasn't, quote-unquote, interfered with. And second, did the DB get there early? Yeah, I guess. But, man, it wasn't as blatant as they were making it out to be. I went back, and they were talking about this on the McAfee show earlier today with Schefter. And they basically said the same thing. By the letter of the law, was it probably pass interference? Yeah, probably. But to make that call in that situation, and the ref that called it was 20 yards from the play, I don't know. It makes you wonder. Because of Mahomes, and he usually gets the benefit of the doubt, that's why a lot of Cincinnati folks really had a problem with that. Regardless, the ref called it. Kansas City took advantage, and the Chiefs won the game. Big story in the NFL today as well. Bryce Young benched in Carolina. Benched. Andy Dalton will start for Carolina. You know, the Bryce Young story, has not been written in its entirety. But what's been written so far, he will go down currently as one of the worst number 1 overall picks ever. When you combine his play on the field with what Carolina gave to get him, Chicago has Caleb Williams and DJ Moore because of that trade. And to go a step further, you think about Carolina trading Christian McCaffrey, trading away the number 1 pick, which became Caleb Williams, trading away Brian Burns. Man, bad times for the Carolina Panthers. They look horrific. Their first 2 games, they have looked horrific. Bryce Young to the bench, Andy Dalton, you're in, beginning Sunday. Quickly around the AFC South, we know Jacksonville is 0-2. Thankfully, Indianapolis and Tennessee are as well. Indianapolis has an Anthony Richardson problem. He was not good yesterday. Green Bay with Malik Willis beats the Colts. Colts now 0-2. Tennessee falls to 0-2. Will Levis for the second week in a row. Just a boneheaded decision. Boneheaded decision. Last week against Chicago, one of the worst pick sixes you'll ever see. Yesterday, Levis about to get sacked. Laterals it to a running back who was not anticipating it. And it's a fumble and the Jets recover. You cannot do that, particularly 2 weeks in a row. Houston wins a game last night. I'll tell you this, though, about the Texans. They're 2-0. They're the class of the division. At this rate, they're going to win the South by Thanksgiving. But they weren't uber impressive in either one of their first 2 games. Beating Indy 29-27, beating Chicago 19-13. Hey, a win's a win, man, and that's all that matters, no question. But by no means have they looked dominant, have they looked unbeatable. Jaguars will see Houston in 13 days. We'll see. But give the Texans credit. They have not maybe played their best, but they are still 2-0, and they already are 2 games up in the division. Into the second quarter, Monday Night Football, still scoreless. Falcons-Eagles, Falcons with the ball. We will keep you updated. More on the National Football League coming up in just a bit. Zach Goodall, Jaguars Wire, part of the USA Today, stops by at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. To the world of college football we will go. Jesse Simonton on 3 did a really interesting piece earlier today on Florida football and the Florida football program and what it's become since the departure of Jeremy Foley as athletic director. Keep in mind, that was all the way back in 2016, since Jeremy Foley was the full-time athletic director. Just think about Gator football with Jim McElwain and Dan Mullen and now Billy Napier since Jeremy Foley was AD. So we'll talk about that. We'll obviously talk about Billy Napier's future, and we'll talk about why are they prolonging the inevitable. We all know the end game here. You know it. I know it. Denmark knows it. Everybody knows that at some point in the near future, Billy Napier is going to be shown the door. Why is it being prolonged right now? I'm going to ask Jesse Simonton, national college football columnist, on3.com, about all that coming up next. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go, Jacksonville. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock tonight, as we do each and every night, right here. Hacker After Dark rolls on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Starting at linebacker, number 55, Tom McManus.
I'm bringing you straight to the gridiron to show you what it's like to put on the Jags helmet and pads. Friday from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hayes Carlyon for MyBookie. Football is back. Winning season is back. MyBookie's here to make make sure you're ready to cash in on the action, this season MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big, and if it doesn't, forget it, MyBookie will refund your wager. But that's just the beginning. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super Survivor and Squares contests. Get your entries in now for a shot at huge cash rewards. For a limited time, they are bringing back the double deposit bonus when you're ready to get started. Use my promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Remember, exclusive giveaways and bigger rewards. MyBookie is the lock of the century. Bet on anything, anywhere, anytime, and make sure your season is a winning one.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius. Or two half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you ready to upgrade your home? Experience the winning combination of style and performance with Renew by Andersen. Energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. Buy one, get one 40% off replacement windows and patio doors. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. This offer expires September 30th and restrictions apply. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit rbafla.com for details.
License number CGC 1527613.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, rolling lot bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Prosser here. Hey, pick a news source. But the reports are home prices are expected to decline in 2025, even after the election. So you need to maximize your home sales price now before this downturn, and you can do it with the agents proven to sell for top dollar, Chad and Sandy Newman. Hey, perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a lowball out-of-state instant offer, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. That's why you turn to Chad and Sandy, who have the answers. No required costly repairs. Chad and Sandy are the local real estate experts I trust and recommend for the sale of your home. Tony and Maggie at Jack's Golf and Country Club said, "We recently had a job transfer and we needed to sell fast. With homes in our area struggling to sell inside 100 days, we didn't know what to do. Our worries were solved when we hired Chad and Sandy. Our home sold in 3 days for one of the highest prices ever in our neighborhood at over $1 million. Call the local experts we trust, 904-414-6200 or ChadAndDSandy.com.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
Veterans, did you know VA mortgage rates have plummeted and you can now access up to 100% of your home's equity and turn that into cash right now? Hey, it's Roger Moore, President and CEO of Loan Pronto, announcing our VA Equity Advantage program. This VA offer can get you $50, $70, $100,000 cash out with no junk fees and no hassle, with APRs in the fives. You can pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, and get one easy-to-manage payment. Veterans we help save on average $850 per month. And listen, if you're a veteran with a current mortgage rate over 6.25%, we can do a streamlined refinance with no income verification and no appraisal, saving you hundreds a month. At Loan Pronto, we respect what you've done for our country, and we show it. Call now and ask about our special VA Equity Advantage program. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida and Mississippi State, Saturday at noon. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL as Florida looks to get back on the winning track amidst all the stuff surrounding the Florida football program right now. Let's talk about some of that stuff with Jesse Simonton. He is a national college football columnist for On3.com, and Jesse's always kind enough to give us some time here on 1010XL. Jesse, how you doing?
Doing all right. How you guys doing?
Jesse, we're good. Thank you for the time. All right, I read your piece early on Monday morning regarding Billy Napier and certainly the questions surrounding his future. But your point was, and it was an interesting one in reading your work there at On3, this is a bigger situation than just Billy Napier and his future that's currently surrounding the Florida football program. Expand on that, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Florida has a problem with their football coach right now. I mean, it's inexcusable for where kind of this program has kind of devolved to. Napier, he's not going to get this whole season. But Florida's on track for, there's a head coach starting his tenure at Florida with 3 straight losing seasons, something that hadn't happened before World War II. So the on-field results are absolutely, inexcusable. But this university, this program has more than just a Billy Napier problem right now. And it stretches way back over a decade now, where, I kind of deemed it the ghosts of Jeremy Foley. Foley is probably one of the greatest modern ADs ever. His track record of hiring coaches from Billy Donovan to Urban to Becky Burley, Mike Holloway, Kevin O'Sullivan, you rattle them off, Tim Walton, softball, these folks that have won tons of national championships at Florida. That was kind of his strong suit. But he had a blind spot, and that was kind of in football investment. He kind of thought everything should be equal, so he spread it out. Well, Foley retired in 2016. So he's been gone for a while, and while he still kind of holds an emeritus title at Florida, almost all of his, former lieutenants or just kind of, his close confidants, they all remain in positions of power at Florida, and it's just kind of been stale. And the Gators have been really slow on change, innovation, whether that's facilities, support, fundraising. And then nowadays in the modern sport, you're talking about NIL and the transfer portal. And it was kind of this arrogance and hubris that it gets you to today. And that's how, again, I think the writing is on the wall for Billy Napier. He survived this week, but he will not be the head coach at Florida in 2025. But whether it's Lane Kiffin or Eli Drinkwitz or whoever the Gators end up hiring, they're not going to be able to do what Napier, could not if Florida doesn't make some real changes behind the scenes with its entire athletic department.
It's interesting, and you bring up a lot of stuff. Again, Jesse Simonton of On3 here with us on 1010XL. All right, so how did we get to this point? I mean, you mentioned facilities, and they got that beautiful football complex now, but they were so far behind their SEC rivals when it came to facilities. They're currently behind a lot of teams when it comes to the stadium. Now, I know the Swamp is going to get some renovations done, but again, as we talk right now, it is not up to date as many other stadiums in the SEC are. You mentioned the quite frankly, the awful hires that have been made as of late in the football staff. I mean, why do you think Florida has kind of divulged into this in the last decade since Jeremy Foley left?
Again, I think that there's long been kind of this Gator way, this kind of holier than thou rebuttal that, they didn't need things like an indoor football facility, or they didn't need to kind of upgrade the Swamp. They've had these bursts of success. First Spurrier, and that's kind of what gave them the initial arrogance. But then frankly, they were really emboldened. The UAA was really emboldened by kind of the success that Urban had in spite of what they didn't have. And so that hubris and winning 2 national titles that way, it devolved into, you don't have the indoor facility, then you finally get one. The Heavener complex, which they just moved into a year ago, was, as I wrote, was years in the making, but still many years too late. I mean, a great metaphor that I have in my column, and it's both real but also a metaphor for everything that's not happening at Florida, is that, when Urban Meyer abruptly resigned in 2010, fast forward to today, and Florida's on their 4th head coach. And when Billy Napier took over the program, he was sitting in the exact same office, on the exact same desk, with the same carpet and the same curtains, as Urban Meyer. And we're talking about over, 12 years later. And so these are not bad people. I know a lot of these people. They've been here a long, long time. But they've had a lot of bad ideas, and it's time for a change if Florida truly wants to become a championship program again.
You can check out Jesse Simonton's work on the Florida football program. His piece that came out earlier today on 3.com is where you can look at that. Jesse's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Jesse, to Billy Napier, all the excitement when Billy was hired from Louisiana, all the expectation that came with Billy, and it, quite frankly, has been borderline disastrous. 12-16 in 28 games. We're talking about him almost in past tense, that it's a foregone conclusion he's going to be gone. Like you said, it's a matter of when, not if. I mean, how did we get here? Why did it work out so poorly for Billy Napier in Gainesville?
Well, he's a guy who it's almost an unfortunate circumstance where he did have a proof of concept. This is my thoughts here, is that he had a proof of concept at Louisiana Lafayette. Now, there were some red flags there because he did feast on a lot of under 500 teams within that conference to kind of build up that win share resume, but he still delivered, and he won a couple conference titles, and it worked there. But unfortunately, he seemed to believe that if he just took that blueprint, crossed off Louisiana Lafayette, and put a Florida sticker on top of it, and then was allowed to hire more people, a la the process, Nick Saban, and similar to what Kirby has done at Georgia now, he thought that would work. And frankly, it's ironic that was his plan, because Florida has clearly lacked so much organization, during Billy Napier's tenure here, where they've just been, they've self-immolated on the field, on defense, special teams. They're just a poorly executed, poorly constructed football team. The close losses, the recruiting, that was one of his biggest chips that everyone said. He was such a strong recruiter at Clemson, such a strong recruiter at Alabama, and that's underwhelmed as well. Florida has not recruited at an elite level since Napier's come to Gainesville. So when you add all that up, and then at the same time, Florida's biggest rivals, Georgia specifically, but now Tennessee's on the come up. LSU's won 10 games 3 years in a row. Florida State's been a disaster this year, but Florida State, had 2 back-to-back big seasons before this year. So it all makes Napier's struggles look even more, magnified and even worse in light of all that.
Jesse, one of my arguments is since Spurrier left for the NFL, they've had 6 different head coaches. When Napier has shown the door and they bring in somebody else, that'll be 7 head coaches in just over 2 decades. Is that going to be a deter for a lot of guys that consider the Florida job, knowing that, I mean, Napier's only been given 28 games and the fan base is done with him? I mean, whether it's Lane Kiffin, Drinkowitz, whomever, are they going to look at this Florida situation and be like, all right, are we going to be given enough time to do something there?
Yeah, I mean, I for some of the bigger names, they will have more sway to I think, to maybe demand some of these changes that I believe are necessary. A Kiffin, a Drinkowitz. There are other coaches who I think Florida would be interested in, who may not be given, such power. I know one coach in particular, who I've spoken with, not about Florida's job in the present, but kind of during this past off season, kind of, he's a person I think somebody would maybe have circled as on the long list of candidates potentially. And he, asked me frankly, what's in the water up there? And there's a lot of folks that are wondering that. So the fact that Florida's now going to be hiring a 5th coach in effectively 12 years is a terrible light. But I think that's, again, speaks to more that it's not just that they're not hiring the right guys. Billy Napier did not work out and has been a disaster at Florida. But the same folks that were making these hires, when they hired Dan Mullen, their biggest first 2 targets were Chip Kelly and Scott Frost. Those guys would have been disasters here too. So, this is not just a cycle of bad coaches like, oh, they're just missing. They seem to be missing for a reason.
Final moments, Jesse Simonton of On 3. Jesse, as we begin to wrap up, we're only 3 games into the year, man. I mean, there's 9 games left, right? We're only a quarter of the way into the season, and we're already talking about who the next head coach is going to be, what the offseason's going to look like. Can they convince DJ Lagway to come back in 2025? Yet they play a football game against Mississippi State in a matter of days, a game you'll hear right here on 1010XL radio. I mean, it's an odd situation, and I almost feel for the players to be put into a situation like this, and you wonder if they've kind of mailed it in on Billy a little bit. Are they going to listen to him knowing that more than likely he's not going to be the guy in a matter of weeks?
Yeah. I mean, that's it's funny. You could look at it a couple of different ways. You say we're only a quarter of the way through the season, or you could say we're a quarter of the way through the season. College football, what makes it so special is that it's kind of the ultimate small sample size sport. So the reality is, I think a big reason, you're talking to some folks, I think a big reason why Napier is going to be coaching Saturday against Mississippi State is they don't want the players to be able to go ahead and have the 4-game, under 4-game deal and check out, when you do lose your head coach. So I think they want to kind of maybe protect the roster as best they can. There's no doubt in today's modern college football, with the transfer portal, you're going to see massive attrition in a situation like this. It's going to be difficult for the next coach. DJ Lagway is going to be, paramount to whoever does take over for Napier to kind of try to keep him in Gainesville. But you know what? I mean, the folks at Miami and Florida State and Texas A&M are going to be coming hard after Lagway too. So you do feel for the players. The thing is that because college football has become almost a kind of like, a professional sport, so to speak, they got to put good film on, as best they can, or else these other schools may not be as interested in them for their services. So if they want to continue to kind of maybe make some NIL dollars, albeit elsewhere, it behooves them to play as well as they can for Florida as long as they're still, on Florida's roster.
Jesse, do you believe Lane Kiffin will get the first phone call when that time comes?
It's too early to say that, but I think that he is absolutely on the shortest of short lists. So yes.
And you also mentioned the name Eli Drinkowitz, and we'll see. And then finally, I mean, like I said, they do play a game, right, on Saturday. If Florida has any resolve, the next 3 potentially are winnable, I guess, right? At Mississippi State, they just got boat raced by Toledo last week. UCF at home in a couple of weeks. Kentucky at home. I mean, trying to be glass half full guy, trying to give Gator fans any hope that I can. Do you see a scenario where Florida could win a couple of these games?
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted on Saturday. I thought that, and this was before the game, and I said this is the reason why this is such a big must-win for Billy Napier is that this is before Texas A&M, but this is what I said that, suddenly this historic all-time schedule doesn't look quite so daunting. UCF, hadn't looked as well, and they had a heck of a rally this weekend, but they were playing terribly against TCU, struggled in week 1. You have Kentucky, kind of being up and down. Florida State looks terrible. So to deliver the performance that they did against the Aggies just made it all the more depressing and kind of sucked any oxygen that was remaining, I think, with the fan base gone. So, yes, they absolutely should go to Mississippi State and win. Then you have potentially winnable games against UCF at Kentucky. But with the way this team's playing and performing right now and the way they've been coached, it's hard to kind of chalk any game on the schedule as kind of an auto dub at this point.
Jesse, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville your piece is out about the Florida football program, where they can find it and where they can follow your coverage.
Yeah, I'm on the front page at On3 as a national columnist there, very regularly, pretty much every day. So follow me there at on3.com, and then you can follow me on Twitter at Jesse R.E. Simonton. That's my name, Jesse R.E. Simonton. Or X, whatever I'm going to call it. So hit me up there.
Jesse Simonton of On3.com. Jesse, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out. We'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it.
Good drives bring more points. Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville brings you the drive of the game.
Great job.
On 1010XL. Drive to the game in luxury with Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville.
Florida homeowners are going to extreme lengths to stay cool this summer.
We sit in front of the refrigerator with the door open and only eat frozen foods while they're still frozen and put ice cubes down our pants. Whoa, that's cold.
But the most popular and cost-effective way can be summed up by a quack. Just call Duck Duck Air Conditioning. For AC repairs to new installations, you too can beat the Florida heat with Duck Duck Air Conditioning, Jacksonville area's AC experts. Trust the Duck to keep your cooling costs low. DuckDuckAC.com.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
She's seen and heard all over 1010XL's video and social channels.
Whether the big cats are at the bank or on the road, I'm there too. Follow my updates all season long, on air and online.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREZ. Zero Res.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time home buyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time home buyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time home buyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time home buyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time home buyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time home buyer benefits around, period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at TrustlineMortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular strength training is key to maintaining muscle mass. Like muscle building, you need to stress the muscle to maintain strength. This means lifting enough weight and doing enough reps to the point where it's too hard to do one more. Yoga and Pilates are also lower impact muscle building workouts that help maintain lean body mass and improve flexibility. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker. After Dark on 1010XL.
Zach Goodall, Jaguars Wire, part of USA Today, joins me in less than 15 minutes to take a look back on yesterday's game against the Cleveland Browns and look ahead 1 week from tonight, of course, Monday Night Football, Jaguars and Buffalo. I'll tell you this, too. Talking to some people up in Buffalo, a couple of buddies that work for WGR Radio up there, to say that the Bills are going to be ready for the Jaguars next week will be an understatement. Keep in mind, the Jaguars have had their number, beat them in London last year, beat them down here when Josh Allen had that sack, the interception, and the forced fumble off of the other Josh Allen, obviously. All week long, we're going to hear about Jacksonville's got Buffalo's number. Buffalo finally gets the Jags in Orchard Park, and not only do they get them in Buffalo, but they get them in Buffalo on Monday Night Football. Yikes. It might be a hornet's nest in front of Bills Mafia for the Jaguars next Monday night. We'll see, but the Jaguars are certainly backed themselves into a corner with this 0-2 start. The Atlanta Falcons looking to avoid an 0-2 start. They're on Monday Night Football right now, taking on Philadelphia. Eagles 7, Falcons 3, 2-minute warning of the first half. The one touchdown in this game, Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith. Low-scoring battle. Philadelphia 7, Atlanta 3, 2 minutes to go in the first half. Before we get back into the Jaguars, before we get to Zach Goodall of Jaguars Wire, part of USA Today, I want to get into this real quick. Any more in sports to say that you're shocked by something or stunned by something? I mean, how many times are we really shocked anymore or stunned anymore with what we see in the world of sports? But I got to tell you, I'm stunned and I'm shocked that Florida State is 0-3. I'm shocked. A 13-0 team last year that I thought deserved to be in the college football playoff. Of course, they got left out. We know what happened in the Orange Bowl. And even though we knew they lost a lot of people, they brought in all the transfers from Alabama, and Darrell Jackson got cleared by the NCAA, the big defensive tackle, and Patrick Payton returned, and DJU comes to town. And they had a bunch of guys, preseason top 10, which was just 3.5 weeks ago. They were in the top 10 in America. And then they lose to Georgia Tech, and then they lose to Boston College, and they lose to Memphis. Just shocking, man. Shocking. Florida State, and the Jaguars, a combined 1-7 so far. At least we're all in it together, right? We are united in our common bond that our teams are just awful right now. I guess if you're Florida, the silver lining is Florida State's terrible. And if you're Florida State, the silver lining is that Florida's terrible. And if you're the Jaguars, you have no silver lining. I had enough of that talk last week. I tried to find silver linings last week. Enough of that. The Jaguars' offense is horrendous. Just ask the starting quarterback. He said as much yesterday. How can we fix it? What can be done to fix it between now and Buffalo next Monday night? Let's continue the Jaguar conversation with my buddy Zach Goodall, USA Today, Jaguars Wire. He joins me next. Monday night, Jacksonville, Florida, with Dylan Denmark, the hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. Right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. It's Hacker After Dark.
Relive the best moments from the weekend's games.
That's what superstars do.
Post-game Monday.
Expert analysis of Sunday's game all day.
Brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff on 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Hey everyone, it's football season and we wanted to go to the drawing board to make this year's predictions. Let's compare our two blonde all-stars. Most touchdowns, best pricing in the market. Most passing yards, gives the most for your trade. Most receptions, free oil changes with every purchase. Super Bowl champion, wow customer service. This looks like a winning season for everyone. Come see Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville where you can score big all season long.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by November 7th.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool? Today's contestant, a dust bunny breeder from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Steve Johnson. Welcome to the show, Steve.
It's great to be here, Alex.
Yeah, you don't have to answer it in the form of a question, Steve.
What is this game show?
See, that's another question.
Are you going to ask me about air conditioners?
Yeah, okay. How about we just send the Bueller guys over and you can annoy them with all your questions? Johnny? That's right, Steve.
Bueller Air and Plumbing can answer all your air conditioning questions. Repair options, replacement models, and how to make your AC last longer while saving electricity. Making sure you are cool.
Where is the parking lot?
You're killing me, Steve.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Fear the Spear.
Plant your spear and get the latest news and notes from Tallahassee.
It's all about Tomahawk Nation on the Seminole Report. Brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team on 1010XL.
The average cost associated with childhood cancer is a startling $833,000. This is Tom Coughlin, and September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Help the J Fund raise awareness to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease. Visit tcjfund.org/September for more information.
Well, all the news forecasts say that home prices are expected to decline in 2025. Hey, that's great if you're buying a home. But if you're selling one, you might want to get to it. And when it comes to selling your home, the agents you should trust are Chad and Sandy Newman at chadandsandy.com. Maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. And you don't want to worry about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Those things are all out with Chad and Sandy. They're the local real estate experts you can trust, and I recommend for the sale of your home, or for the sale of mine for that matter. Maybe I should look into it. Hey, don't trust me. Trust Jacqueline from Biscayne Estates. My inherited home became a nightmare when it went unsold for 177 days and ended up with a large lien. With expenses mounting for my handicapped daughter and no way to pay, I was desperate. At this point, I turned to Chad and Sandy. The change was amazing. Chad and Sandy sold my home in 3 days at a higher than asking price. Find out for yourself at chadandsandy.com or 904-414-6200.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
It's the best time of the year again. It's football season, and with football season here, fantasy football has arrived. And forget the season-long leagues. Underdog Fantasy and the Underdog Fantasy app is the way to go. I've been playing it now for almost a year, and it is just suits me to a T. First of all, it's simple, right? Just choose higher or lower on statistical projections or compete against others in player v. player fantasy games. Either way, there's so many options. There's research there on the site. It's easy to use, and right now, you can get a little bit extra. That's right. Go to the mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code PROSSER. They're going to give you a special to use on your first contest and a deposit offer. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code PROSSER, and claim your new customer offer. Do it right now, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Got to be 18 or over, got to be present in the state where it's played, and call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org if you have a problem.
Hello, I'm Malcolm Anthony. I've been practicing criminal defense law for over 40 years. It's what I love to do, it's what I do well. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 2854-LAW. 2854-LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jacksonville Jaguars now sit at 0-2 with losses to Miami and to Cleveland. It doesn't get any easier. Now back-to-back road games against the 2-0 Buffalo Bills and the 2-0 Houston Texans. What has gone wrong so far? And maybe more importantly, what, if anything, can the Jaguars do to fix it? Let's talk with Zach Goodall. Does a terrific job covering the Jaguars for Jaguars Wire, which is a part of USA Today. And Zach is always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Zach, how we doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Hacker. Appreciate you having me. I'm just, I feel like I guess I'm kind of like the Jaguars right now. I'm in catch-up mode. I think like the rest of us covering the team, trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Zach, I know we're busy, and I certainly thank you for the time. All right, I'm stunned at the offensive performance the last 6 quarters. The first 2 quarters in Miami, it was good. And look, I'm not asking for a lot, but I'm asking for more than ineptitude. And for an overwhelming majority of the last 6 quarters, the offense has been ineptitude. I mean, are you surprised as I am by what's transpired?
Yeah, I mean, they come out and they're able to put 17 points up, not perfectly, but quickly enough to gain control of a game against one of the most explosive offenses, if not the most explosive offense in the NFL. And then they took their foot off the gas. And that's not how you win games against teams like Miami, especially in 2024 in the NFL. So you look at it, right? It comes out like this offense could start its season by scoring maybe 30 points and setting a great tone. Now we're 2 games in, and the offense that has tied for the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, a Super Bowl winning head coach who's known for his offensive philosophy, no matter how many questions there are about who's calling the plays at this point, it shouldn't look like this. They're now averaging 15 points a game through 2. And it's so much more than points, too. There's just a struggle to get any rhythm going. The lack of protection at times is baffling, whether it's a mix of talent or block schemes. But all in all, it looks like they're lost and they're unable to find a way to get something going. And obviously losing Evan Ingram before the game yesterday hurts, but I'm not sure how much more he would have changed things because he didn't do anything against Miami. So at this point, it looks like they're just looking all over for answers rather than trying to hone in on one.
Zach, the press conference for Doug Peterson on Sunday after the Cleveland game was interesting because, look, I thought, quite honestly, I've used the term salty last week. He was a little salty towards the media on Monday after the Miami game, some kind of interesting responses to some questions, which is fine. It's frustration. I get it. I'm happy he's frustrated. I didn't like Sunday after Cleveland because he looked kind of deer in headlights, maybe. I mean, just he didn't have a whole lot of answers. You were there. I mean, was it as odd to you being there as it was to me watching it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like you said, he's struggling to find answers for it at this point. And keep in mind, of course, I've not covered him long enough to know his mannerisms in press conferences, but I've been struck a couple times throughout my short time covering him, and especially these last 2 weeks when, he literally sits there for, I think it was the opening question yesterday about issues down in the red zone. It took him 10 seconds to think about just what to say. And again, this is the Super Bowl winning head coach who won that Super Bowl because his offense was aggressive, unique, and it won against a fantastic defense. That's his legacy at this point. And this doesn't look anything like that. And I think that going back now to last season, even it hasn't looked anything like that in a while. And he appears dumbfounded by it. And I also agree with your sentiment about some of the responses in general. Like, he sometimes seems annoyed by the question when I think everyone kind of has the question. He can get chippy about it. And I understand, like you said, it's frustration, but sometimes it takes a real honest look in the mirror in stepping up to answer the hard questions. And maybe that could, help them identify some of these answers that they need.
Zach Goodall, Jaguars Wire, a part of USA Today with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. The exact opposite of that was Trevor Lawrence on Sunday. Trevor was angry. That's maybe as most animated as I've seen Trevor after a loss. Normally we get the we got to watch the tape, make the corrections, this, that, and the other, which is fine. Again, what's a guy going to say after a loss? Trevor flat out said, we suck right now. Trevor was, again, angry, ticked, I guess would be a good term to use. What did you make of Trevor's post-game remarks?
Yeah, I don't want it to be interpreted as though he was throwing people under the bus, because he wasn't. He was taking as much accountability as I think anyone. But for the first time, I saw Trevor, again, in my short time covering him, place blame. Whether it was on himself, whether it was communications between, it sounded like between him and the offensive personnel and the coaching staff, and other players having to step up and make something happen ultimately and execute. They love the word execute, just like any NFL player and coach does, but it's true. Like, there's a total lack of execution. And from my perspective, it was different to see Trevor be willing to step up and say, yeah, none of us did it. Whether it comes down to, and I'm paraphrasing, but the offensive line, to me, to receivers, to running backs, like, he was willing to place that across the team. And I know Trevor doesn't always sound like the most fired up player, win or lose, when he's talking to the press, but you could tell that his attitude was different when he stepped up there, and it was obvious disappointment, but he seemed really ticked.
The problem I have is I kind of went in on Trent Baalke this offseason in a positive way. I deemed myself one of the presidents of the Baalke fan club. I said he was master class. And look, for the most part, I still believe that. I think the one downside was losing Ridley, but even losing Ridley, that enabled you to get Brian Thomas, and we'll get to him in a moment. But the one caveat, Zach, that I had always put on that was the offensive line, because everybody I've talked to, or almost everybody, had serious concerns about the offensive line coming into the year. And I shared those concerns, but I said, you know what? I'm going to trust Trent. They re-signed Ezra Cleveland. They bring in Mitch Morse. Anton's coming into year 2. I'm okay with the line. They've been bad. the last 2 games. Now, I don't think they've been putrid like some are making them out to be, but I don't think they've been good by any stretch of the imagination. And if almost everybody I talked to had concerns about them coming in, is that not a big indictment of the guy making the decisions in Trent Baalke?
I think so. I mean, I think, to the most neutral of observers, Jacksonville's offensive line has been a problem going back to last year. I think you could argue it was one of their weak spots in the 2022 playoff run, even though the line played up to par that season. But if you were to look down that team and all across every unit, the offensive line was still arguably one of the bigger concerns. It goes back a long time, and there were 2 moves of significance made this offseason, one adding a backup who now appears to be the 4th offensive tackle, or potentially 5th, with Cole Van Lanen on the roster and Javon Foster. It doesn't appear as though he's in line to play significantly at any time soon. And then, of course, you've got Mitch Morse, good player, veteran, experienced, but one player was not going to change that, especially one going into their 30s. He's not going to be a long-term fixture on this offensive line unless he just has this fantastic long career and finishes it with Jacksonville. It wasn't a long-term move. It was a patch-up. Otherwise, it was a lot of confidence in the group they had going in with really nothing in recent memory to show why they had that confidence. And we can pick on the offensive line right now because it seems like the biggest weak spot, but there are problems across this team, and you have to wonder if the same mindset was applied elsewhere. A lot of confidence in what they had and the moves that they were making that really maybe wasn't justified at this point. And I'm not saying that's every move. I'm personally, at this point, maybe it's a hot take, not flipping on my stance on paying Trevor Lawrence for one. But I mean, when it comes to, I don't know, I think you can look across this team in a lot of different ways and see, and you hear it from when they were talking in the offseason too, whether it was Trent, Doug, some players, coaches, like there was a lot of confidence in what not only they had put together for the season, but specifically what had been brought back. The ownership of the offense, for one, between what Press Taylor and Trevor Lawrence have said. This is what the ownership of the offense looks like. This is what year 3 of this system being in place looks like. It's a disaster. And it signs to them being overly confident in what they had, when, again, it's fair to question if that was justifiable.
A couple more for Zach Goodall of Jaguars Wire, which is a part of the USA Today. All right, Brian Thomas Jr., I don't know, Zach, here's a wild idea. Maybe throw the guy the ball. He really didn't get a target downfield until late in the 3rd, and he comes up with a 66-yard catch. Why did he only have 4 targets on Sunday? Christian Kirk was only targeted, 4 times, but if you take the touchdown away because of the penalty, he was only targeted 3 times. You may want to throw the ball more to Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas more than 7 times in a football game. Just a wild idea there.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And especially with Brian, it goes back to Miami. Like second half, he was a non-factor. And I don't think they're purposely saying we're not going to put the ball his way. But you can scheme a player who is 6'3", runs a 4.33, open into plays, into action, whether he's getting the ball or not, but use him a lot more than it seems like they are. There are times where he's a total non-factor, and it's not because of anything he's doing, but it's because he's not being made a focal point. Right now, and I agree, you want to get Christian Kirk going, but at the same time, I have some concerns about his play. The drops against Miami, coming into the season with a preseason injury to follow his season-ending injury last year, I'm afraid that there's still rust to be shaken off there. So now you see Gabe Davis running seemingly the most routes, most snaps of any receiver, I believe 2 weeks running. You see that sometimes the speed falls off there. He's a bigger guy that is not the fastest receiver on this team. All of a sudden, I mean, there's going to come a point where teams are taking Brian Thomas away, and I don't want to discount that even from these 2 games, that there were certainly times where Miami and Cleveland did that. But again, you have a different kind of wide receiver on your roster here, and even if he's not as polished as you want him to be 2 games into his career, there's a lot more you can be doing with a player like that, whether it's getting him the ball or using him to get someone else open, and it's not happening.
You know, the one positive has been the defense. The defense has certainly played well enough to win both of these games. When you allow your opponent 20 points or less, you probably played well enough and deserve to win. The offense has not held up their end of the bargain. Now, I think they got great leadership in that locker room. I don't expect anything to happen as soon, assuming, I guess, the offense begins to do their fair share. But if this continues for the next couple of weeks and all of a sudden 0-2 turns into 0-4 or 0-5 and the defense is still playing pretty well and the offense is still awful, you got to wonder what the dynamic will be in that locker room.
Without a doubt. Even yesterday, I mean, I don't want to suggest in any way that there was chippiness amongst the players, but you could tell that they are just devastated. Shocked. Devastated feels like another one there where, you don't want this to become a fragile environment between the players at all. But I think everyone's kind of grappling with how is this possible right now? And kind of like how I said at the start of the show, I mean, we're certainly grinding out great coverage across this beat right now, but I'm sure everyone feels the same way. Like everyone's pretty surprised that this is what this looks like at this point in the tenure, especially to go back to the point of them keeping their talent and really believing in what they have. At a minimum, if you're going to keep as many cornerstones as you did this offseason, there's no way that it should look this dysfunctional. It doesn't make any sense. Where's the chemistry?
Zach, as we wrap up, man, the problem is, look, the Jaguars have matched up very well with Buffalo. Buffalo knows that. And in talking to some folks up in WGR Radio in Buffalo, they are already talking about that for next Monday night. They are going to be ready for the Jaguars because Jacksonville beat them with Josh Allen picking off Josh Allen back in the day, and then London last year, and the Jaguars have the Bills number and so on and so forth. Well, this is the first time Jacksonville is going to go to Orchard Park. It's on a Monday night. I just get the sense that Buffalo is smelling blood in the water to finally get their hands on the Jaguars up there in upstate New York.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, when you look at, if we want to go head to head on teams that have retained not necessarily all their talent in Buffalo, but systems in place, coaching, obviously they have a franchise quarterback and a lot to support him. This is a team that's proven that it can overcome adversity and win games and make pushes. And we are in the midst of a streak where Jacksonville hasn't shown that for a second. So I absolutely believe that coming into this game, especially with a lot of these players having been around to lose to Jacksonville a couple times in recent years, there's definitely going to be a motivation to especially take advantage of right now. While Jacksonville, I do think, I agree, matches up pretty well when you put these rosters head to head. They're looking at a team that is kind of in chaos and dysfunction, and I think they'll be sharpened on their game. Jacksonville has to match that from start to finish.
Zach, tell the good folks about Jaguars Wire and what they can expect with your coverage heading into Buffalo next Monday.
Yeah, I'm over at jaguarswire.usatoday.com, and all my work is also on Twitter at Zach_Goodall. We are in the midst of all of our film breakdowns and stat breakdowns now. I just got snap counts up and should expect a lot more analysis of this game over the next 24 hours, and then we'll really turn it over to Buffalo, get scouting started on that, on the Bills.
Zach Goodall does a great job covering the Jaguars. He's always kind enough to give us some time here on 1010XL. Zach, I know you're busy. Thank you as always, brother. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And thank you to Zach Goodall of Jaguars Wire, which is a part of USA Today, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. As the reality of the situation is this: the Jaguars are 0-2, and they are staring two very, very hard road games in the face. Next Monday night, 1 week from tonight, in Buffalo, and then just 6 short days later at Houston. And both the Texans and the Bills are 2-0 to begin the year. So the Jaguars will be big underdogs in both games, and we'll see. But at this point, it doesn't really matter who they play if the offense keeps performing the way it is. It was bad yesterday at Everbank Stadium, and they're going to have to figure it out pretty quick. Defensively, they've played well enough to win in back-to-back games, both against Miami and Cleveland, but the offense just has not gotten enough done. So the Jaguars are in an 0-2 hole. I guess the good thing for them, Indianapolis is 0-2, and Tennessee is 0-2. At this rate, Houston's going to wrap up the division by Thanksgiving, as the Texans are already 2 games clear of the rest of the field in the AFC South, just 2 short weeks in to the 2024 season. So we talked about that. We talked about the trouble at Florida. Probably a matter of when, not if, for when Billy Napier will be shown the door after another just pathetic performance and a loss to Texas A&M. Unbelievably, there's 9 games left in the Gators season, and we're already talking about who the next head coach of the University of Florida is going to be. For right now, the coach is still Billy Napier, and they're getting ready for Mississippi State. Their first road game takes place Saturday. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL. And it's not a much prettier scene in Tallahassee, right? The Seminoles are 0-3. Just unbelievable. The biggest disappointment in college football so far this year, from preseason top 10 to 0-3. And a pretty good Golden Bear team coming in on Saturday night there to Tallahassee. So I don't know what the football fans did in North Florida this offseason, but they must have wronged somebody or something, because the Jaguars, the Gators, and the Seminoles are, 3, 5, 7, are a combined 1-7. 1-7. And we're not even in the middle part of September yet. So it is an interesting situation. No question about that. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very busy Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Zach Goodall of Jaguars Wire, which is a part of USA Today. I always appreciate Zach's time with us here on 1010XL. Thank you to Jesse Simonton, national college football columnist for On3. As we talked about Florida, we talked about Billy Napier, but we looked at the overall Florida football program and how things have kind of gone off the rails since Jeremy Foley stepped aside. Jesse wrote about that for On3.com. Gator fans, it's a good read if you want to give that a look. And back in hour number 1, my buddy Dave Campo. It's always Monday night coaching with Campo, the former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, joins us every Monday here on Hacker After Dark as we reviewed Cleveland and took a brief look ahead next week to the Buffalo Bills. We will be back tomorrow night on a Tuesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Monday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on